Hi everybody, I am Jay Friday here with a tutorial today that I think is going to help you in a lot of ways to grow your business. It's going to seem very simple, but it's easily probably the strongest function on the most powerful software we use in our business. I'm talking about Vlookup in Excel. So Vlookup stands for a vertical lookup. It's a function that we use in Excel to basically search in a specified area for a specific amount of information. This is incredibly helpful in so many ways as we work with different software and within Amazon's own system itself. The most scalable way for us to do anything is going to be via spreadsheet, to be able to upload information into software, upload information into Amazon, or to track information on Amazon or from software via spreadsheet. And to do that effectively, we need to learn how to get our spreadsheets basically to talk to one another. And the easiest and best way that I've found to do that is with a VLOOKUP, a vertical lookup. So today I have a little simplified VLOOKUP we're going to do here. I have two tables that we're going to use. You can see here on the table on the left, we have a list of ASINs, the title that goes along with them, and a cost associated with each one. What we don't have is currently a list price. On the table on the right, I have a list of ASINs, the title associated with each one, and a list price. And so what we're going to do is actually pull the list price from this table into the table on the left. And you can see, judging from the ASINs, they are not the same. They're in different orders. So we could not just right-click, copy, and paste. We wouldn't have the right values with the right products or with the right ASINs. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to click on the cell where we want to perform the function. Now, depending on your comfort level, if you're more comfortable typing in the formula, you can type in equals VLOOKUP, and you can see it starts to form right there. You can double click it and start to go through it. I find, though, a lot more people, especially when you're first getting comfortable with Excel, are more comfortable if you click up here on the function button to insert function. So if you click on that, it's going to default to most recently used. If you've done VLOOKUPs before, you'll see a VLOOKUP should be on the most recently used function. If it's not, you can go to all, and you can either scroll all the way down, because it's going to be one of the last ones till you find VLOOKUP, or alternatively, you can type in VLOOKUP here in the search for function, and when you hit go, you can see it's going to pull up several, but the top one is going to be VLOOKUP. Either way, once you click on that, it's going to bring up the function arguments, or basically what you're going to ask you for what information you need for this function. So the first thing it needs to know is the lookup value. What's the value that we're going to search by? I almost always, in the spreadsheets that I work with, use the ASIN as the value, because the ASIN is something that is generally going to be on most, if not all, of your spreadsheets. One pro tip, something that I do that I find helpful, is I actually use the ASIN as my merchant SKU on Amazon. That makes it so on the spreadsheets where the ASIN is not listed, but instead the merchant SKU is, I actually still have the ASIN, which is incredibly helpful for this function. So for the lookup value, we're going to select the ASIN in the same row as the one that we're looking at. You can see as I click on it, it's going to automatically fill in that cell number, cell A2. Then we're going to go to the second piece of information. So the second thing they want to know is called the table array. This is basically asking us, where are we going to search for that ASIN? Where is the information that you want us to search to find that ASIN? And so for this, we're going to click over here on our second table, and we're going to highlight all three rows between the ASIN and the information we want to pull back. So if this were a larger spreadsheet, you might not be highlighting the entire spreadsheet. You might only be highlighting a handful of rows between the search value, which always has to be on the left of what you're searching, and what you want it to pull back, which always has to be to the right of the search value. So you can see as I highlighted those, it highlighted H:J, so that's H through J. The next thing it wants to know, the third piece of information, is basically the column index number. Which column do you want us to pull back? So of the table that you've told us of H through J, which column do you want to pull back the information for? So we could pull back the ASIN just to see the ASIN again. We could pull back the title. In this case, though, we want to pull back the list price. We want to be able to see the list price. So we're going to count the number of columns, including the first one, till we get up to the column that we wanted to pull back. In this case, it's 1, 2, 3. And we'll type the number 3. And then finally, it wants to know range lookup. So there's only 2 possible answers here, either true or false. True is going to bring you an approximate match or the closest match. False is only going to bring back exact matches. You're almost always, if not always, going to want to use exact match. So you're always going to want to put false and spell it correctly. And you can see it puts false in there. Once you've entered the 4 pieces of information, you can click OK, and you can see it's pulled back the price. Now it's easy for us to, find this on here and see, okay, so there's the actual ASIN, and there's the price that it's pulling back, so that's fantastic. On a larger sheet, though, obviously, you wouldn't be able to see one-to-one like that. The other thing we can see is now it's actually entered the formula up here in the formula bar. So going to the function has entered the formula for us. If we from there were to drag the formula down, it will pull back all of the ones that we want, all of the list prices that we want. Any with an NA means that this ASIN wasn't found anywhere in our table. So hashtag NA is nothing to be worried about. That just means the search did not find that ASIN. So depending on what you're searching, that tells you that that specific ASIN is not on the sheet that you were searching. If it were to pull back a, hashtag REF or reference, first and foremost, that would happen on the first time you enter the formula, and that would mean there was a problem with the formula, that something was entered incorrectly. So as long as you don't see that # REF or # reference, the formula is working properly. # NA is not something to be concerned about. It just means that the information that this particular ASIN is not found anywhere in this list of ASINs. One thing I do recommend, depending on what you're doing, a good tip, you can see as we click on any of these, on here it's showing us the number. On here, though, it's showing us the formula. One good tip is to highlight the entire range, copy it, and paste it over itself, but as values. When you paste as values, you're basically telling it to only paste the value, not the formula. And so now you can see in the formula bar, we only have the specific number that was found. Okay, so what I want to do here is delete this. I want to run through this one more time. This time I'm going to show you how let's run through this. We're going to run through this 2 more times. First, we'll do this as entering the formula in case you prefer to enter the formula. You can enter equals Vlookup and hit tab. You can start to enter equal Vlookup, and when it comes up, double click on it, whatever you're comfortable with. Then again, it asks for the lookup value. You can always enter this manually and say A2. Alternatively, you can always click on the cell just like we did in the formula function bar. To move on to the second thing, we're going to want to hit comma. That comma, now we're looking for the table array. Again, that was H through J. So again, we can just highlight and you can see it autofills. Obviously, we could just type H:J, whatever you're more comfortable with. We'll hit comma. Now again, it's going to ask us for the column index number. Which column do we want to pull back? 1, 2, 3. So we're going to hit 3. Comma, and then again you can see it, it shows us we can only have true, approximate match, or false for exact match, and so we can double click on false and hit enter, and you can see it pulls back the same information. And then if we hold the mouse over this little bottom square until it turns to a plus sign and double click, it will go all the way down until the end, until the point where there's no information to the left of that column. And so again, it can pull back all of that information for us. So again, it's whatever you're comfortable with. If you find it easier to enter the formula, enter the formula. If you find it easier to click on cells, click on cells. If you find it easier to use the formula function, insert function. It's a fantastic tool, especially as you're getting more comfortable with Excel. I think you'll find long-term it's quicker to manually enter the formula, But in the beginning, it's about learning how to do it, not about speed. Ultimately, it will become about speed. So this is all well and good, but especially with what I do, I don't often find that the information I'm looking to pull onto a sheet is on the same sheet that I'm already on. Usually I'm looking to pull it from another report. And I don't want to take that report and copy and paste it at the bottom of the sheet, especially if I plan to ultimately upload this into a software to, add cost of goods or to change a price or whatever I'm doing. I want to be able to, keep this sheet clean. And so the way we do that is by opening up a new tab and pasting the second report where we want to search the information from into the new tab. And you can see here I have an example already all set up on this tutorial tab, where we've got the ASIN, the title, and the list price, and a different range. And what we want to do is pull the list price from this tab onto this tab. And so once again, we're going to hit the formula function. Now we've used a Vlookup, so it's showing up on our most recently used. Lookup value isn't going to change. We still want to look by the ASIN. That's always going to be the best way. Now this time when we click on table array, we want to click on the bottom to enter tutorial. And you can see as soon as I click on that, it grabs the name of that tab, whatever it's named. If I named it tutorial, it could be named book 2, sheet 2, whatever it happens to be named on yours. It will grab that name, and then we'll grab the range. This time it's A through C. We'll tell it the column index number. Again, we can click there and count 1, 2, 3. If you click there, though, see it did add this. We don't want that. This needs to just be a number. And so we'll delete that. We know it's the third column that we wanted to pull back. And then finally for the range lookup, we always want a false for this. Another way to do that is to just enter 0. You can see as I enter that 0, it defaults to false in the formula. And so I can do that, and same thing, it shows back up, and I can share that down, and same thing. Any that were found on that list, it's now pulled back the list price from. Any that weren't on that list now show up with NA. And so if I wanted to, I could copy it, paste it over itself as values. Now you can see there are no formulas, and now I can work with it however I want. So I can come in here and turn on filtering and say, okay, let me sort this by the largest to smallest, and that puts all the NAs at the top. Maybe I don't want to see the NAs, so I just delete them. And so now I'm looking at what's selling for the highest price on down. And undo all that. So that's how we use a vertical lookup to pull information from one sheet onto the other. It's again probably the most powerful tool we have on the most powerful software we have. It's really going to allow you to escalate as you start to look at lists of SKUs where you have 5,000 SKUs, 10,000 SKUs, 20,000 SKUs, and you're trying to pull specific information so that you can separate out the cost price of your SKUs, or so you can separate out which SKUs are over 90 days old on a inventory health report. This is going to allow you to separate out all of that information in one neat, clean, and orderly fashion. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, I am always here. As always, I have been Jay Friday. This has been a tutorial. I hope you guys got a lot out of it, and have a great day.